Hello everyone. In this video lecture, we'll be discussing high fructose corn syrup versus table sugar, which is better for you. All right, so when we talk about high fructose corn syrup or table sugar, what we're really talking about is sweeteners. Now, there's a table in your book which breaks down the different types of sweeteners that are out there. You can see that image on your right. In reality, it breaks down into two general categories: non-nutritive sweeteners and nutritive sweeteners. Nutritive sweeteners give you calories. Non-nutritive sweeteners do not provide any calories. Sucrose or table sugar is the benchmark sweetener. We say how sweet everything else is based off of sucrose or table sugar. What we do know, just as a general rule, is that added sugars that we add to the foods we consume, equals 16 teaspoon sugars on average to our diet every day. That means each one of us is consuming on average 16 additional teaspoons of sugar just because of what we eat. So what's the difference between high fructose corn syrup then and table sugar, and which one do we want to be exposed to? So on the right hand side, you can see on the top, these are monosaccharides. We can see for high fructose corn syrup, it's glucose and fructose. And the quantity or the concentration of glucose to fructose in high fructose corn syrup is 45% glucose versus 55% fructose. Now compare that image on the bottom to table sugar. This is a disaccharide that typically linked, but that link will be broken almost immediately after the product is consumed. And we can see here glucose to fructose, the same two chemicals, is instead of being 45 to 55%, 50 to 50%. So the difference between high fructose corn syrup and table sugar is in fact negligible. There's almost no difference between them at all. There's just a slight amount more fructose than glucose when we consume this product, at least how it's given to us in its general formulation that we get when we consume products. How do we make high fructose corn syrup? We start with this cornstarch and then use acids and enzymes to break it down. How do we make table sugar? It's also one heck of a process. There's a video lecture that I also make available from how it's made, and it shows how table sugar is brought out of sugarcane or even beets and presented to you. It's not all natural. There's quite a process that goes through that. So why do we actually prefer then high fructose corn syrup over table sugar nowadays? There's only one real reason. It's cheaper. It's cheaper than sucrose or table sugar. It doesn't form crystals, has better freezing properties. So as a result of that, it's great to use in soft drinks, candies, jams, jellies, pretty much anything they can jam it into nowadays. They'll use high fructose corn syrup because it's going to save them money and it's going to make a better overall product for the consumer. At the end, they don't have to worry about crystallization, all these things that people would then be dissuaded from buying their product. So why do we care so much about fructose? Well, there's a lot of writing here on the left-hand side from a biochemistry textbook, but here's what you got to keep in mind. Fructose does cause profound metabolic consequences on the body. It bypasses a lot of the things that glucose does, goes straight to the liver, then past the liver. It results ultimately in higher LDL and cholesterol levels, and these things can obviously be atherogenic, which means that you build up plaque on your arterial walls, which could then lead to a heart attack or other cardiovascular-like symptoms. So we want to avoid those sort of things. So because of this, and because people became aware of this, high fructose corn syrup became demonized a few years ago, and we can see by the image on the right, sweetener use dips. We use less high fructose corn syrup on any given year nowadays. So it was up at about 45 pounds in the year 2000, and nowadays it's down to around 37 pounds. Probably a little bit lower even than that. But what do they do to switch out of this? Instead of using high fructose corn syrup, they're using just regular table sugar nowadays. So the real question is table sugar any better for you? Well, here's what we know. If we look at this article from the Mayo Clinic, we can see soda consumption is linked to obesity, type 2 diabetes, and other health concerns. Now, nowadays, a lot of times they use high fructose corn syrup for soda, but the same problem happened when they use table sugar. And other products, for example, lots of your iced tea drinks, etc., they're going to use table sugar nowadays. It's going to link to the same problems. Here's what we know. Soda was once considered an occasional treat, but consumption has steadily increased over the last 3 decades. Many Americans drink soda every day. This is weird, by the way. It's not common. It shouldn't be considered normal that we're consuming soda every day. Demand is so great that manufacturers produce enough soda to supply the average man, woman, and child in America with more than 52 gallons each year. This is a problem, all right? This is an overall overconsumption. This is not moderate consumption of added sugars, and that's why we're actually seeing the problem we see. So here's the idea. Is table sugar or sucrose all that sweet? Remember, sugar or sucrose is 50% glucose and 50% fructose. So even if you're afraid of fructose, keep in mind, or high fructose corn syrup because of the fructose, it's in table sugar anyway. You should still be concerned with it. Look at this note from Dr. Thompson, president of the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. I have eliminated refined sugar from my diet and eat as little as I possibly can. From Dr. Cantley, sugar scares me. These are very intelligent people in high positions, and they understand added sugars are deleterious to your diet and should be avoided at all costs. It doesn't matter if it is high fructose corn syrup or table sugar. How much sugar are we talking about then that's added into the products that we consume? So let's look at Pepsi. Pepsi has 28 grams of sugar, or that's added sugar really, per 8 ounces. So one bottle, 20-ounce serving that you get in the United States is 2.5 servings. That means 70 grams of added sugar inside of one bottle. In a 12-ounce can, we find 42 grams. What does this look like? So when you think about the 20-ounce cola you can see on the bottom left-hand side picture, look at how much sugar is added to that. When you look at the ones you get from different, stores that want to supersize you, whatever, look at how many cubes of sugar is added to that. The amount of sugar you find in one 20-ounce bottle of soda is equal to the recommended maximum intake that you take in of sugar in 2.6 days. Now go back and think about people that are consuming this daily. That's a problem. So how many sugar packets would you put in your coffee? Well, here's some of my students from a few years ago, and they're weighing out the amount of sugar packets and see how much that would weigh comparable to how much you'd find in a bottle of soda. So the question is, think about your coffee that you might consume in the morning. Would you put in a pack of one sugar pack, 2 sugar packs, maybe 3 sugar packs? I think the max I've ever heard in my class is people say 5 or 8 sugar packs they put into their coffee. Well, these students measured out how much sugar packets it would take to get to the amount consumed in one bottle of Coca-Cola, 20-ounce soda. It was 27 sugar packets. Imagine putting 27 sugar packets into your coffee. Most people would say, that sounds disgusting. But the thing is, it tastes sweet, and we like the sweetness, and that's why they add it to the soda. They want to sell it to you. But keep in mind, you're consuming an inordinate amount of sugar, something you wouldn't normally consume, but you don't know how much is there, but now you do. Something to keep in mind is soda is candy. So again, think back. We know that there's between 70 grams, 20 to 50 grams of sugar added to our different sodas. Well, look at how many grams you can actually see of sugar added to your different bars of candy bars. So for example, if you look at the Skittles Original Fruit, 47 grams of sugar is in a packet of that. If you look at Starburst, 34 grams there. All right. Look over here at Hershey's chocolate bars, 31 grams of sugar. What this means is, and if you look at it this way, a 20-ounce soda is equal to eating 3 recommended amounts of brownies. 3 brownies is equal to 1 20-ounce soda. The thing you need to start changing your mind with the idea of soda is not something that's refreshing. It's not something to get liquids. Soda is candy. It's consuming liquid candy, and you need to keep that in mind. Same thing, in fact, goes for juices. So if we look at juices themselves, we're like, well, orange juice and all these juices can't be bad for me. But look, for example, a 12-ounce Coca-Cola has 40 grams of carbs in it, or sugar. Look at orange juice, 39 grams. Grape juice, 60 grams. So this is from Hooked on Juice, and look what it says to us. What does the chart tell us? It tells us that no matter which juice you choose, they all have more calories than the same amount of Coke. It tells us that juice, 100% juice, no sugar added, contains about the same amount of sugar or even more as the same volume of Coke. So juices, the same as sodas, need to be consumed in moderation. They're not something to consume every day. We know they lead to caries, or as we call them usually, cavities. We know they have deleterious effects also on the body, so watch out for those. Now, you might say to yourself, don't worry, I consume brown sugar. That's better for me because it's natural, right? No, not really. Brown sugar is just sugar with molasses added to it. It's sugar on sugar. They sometimes sell raw sugar. It's slightly less refined, but the only real difference is it's got more molasses in it. It is still a refined sugar process. Maple syrup is more natural, but at the same time, keep in mind, if you consume maple syrup, if you go into the store and you buy this pancake syrup is not the same as maple syrup. It's actually just basically 100% high fructose corn syrup. There's no actual maple syrup there. So again, you're consuming just high fructose corn syrup, not quite the same as maple syrup, but it's still, maple syrup is going to be adding sugar to your diet. Honey, it's plant nectar, which is altered by bee enzymes. It's broken down and it's almost pure fructose versus glucose, which is why it's so sweet. Keep in mind with honey though, you can't feed it to infants. Children less than 1 year of age, they don't have the stomach acid to break down Clostridium botulinum that you find naturally in honey, and it can cause serious problems and it can even result in death. 2 last quotes here for you on the right hand side on raw versus brown sugar and why they're not natural, why you shouldn't do it. From Kathy Nonas, Director of Obesity and Diabetes Program at New York City's North General Hospital, sugar is sugar regardless of color. And from an executive pastry chef, it's sugar. That's all it is. Sugar is sugar. So keep that in mind. No matter what way we consume our added sugars, sugar is sugar. You shouldn't be concerned about high fructose corn syrup versus table sugar. what you should be trying to do is eliminate them as much from your diet as you can. Understand they can be deleterious to your health, and for best health outcomes, try to do them in moderation. Think about consuming that soda maybe once a month or less. Hope you found this information helpful, and we'll see you in the next lecture.